Hey guys, it's Vintage Vinny, and I have a flea market and antique store haul to share with you today. Got a great assortment of stuff as usual, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you all. Stay tuned. Alright, so this is everything that I picked up at the flea market. This is the second week I've gone, and I wasn't finding a lot of stuff. Either that, or I was just being more selective about what I choose. I did end up spending $25. In total for the flea market day, I did go through some other parts of Pennsylvania, did a little bit of thrifting and a little bit of antiquing. So in total, I spent $123. I didn't find much, but I mean, what I did find, I'm definitely going to be making my money back and then some. So the very first lot of items that I found are more pinup arcade cards. I paid $3 for 4 of them, so that's 75 cents each. I love finding these at the markets because if they're cheap enough, I don't have to worry about paying shipping on eBay, and sometimes I can get them cheaper than what I would on eBay. So this one says, just the type. And these are in phenomenal condition, too. This one is called Social Security. This one is called Sure Shot. Now this last one I was pretty disappointed with because look, it's ripped and torn right here. So that's going to go into my pile of ones that I'm going to resell. But I was definitely happy with paying 75 cents a piece for those. That was a steal. Alright, next lot of items paid $1 for. So a quarter a piece essentially. I found this paper rose. I thought of Miss Stonehome immediately when I found it because I know this is something she would definitely either put in a frame or craft with. So that'll be going to her. Found another one of those princess phone charms from the 60s. 25 cents is the cheapest I've ever gotten out, or sorry, 25 cents is the cheapest I've ever gotten one of these for. And I love throwing those in my jar. I don't mind having duplicates of these because they're so cool. Now the last group of items for the $1 happen to be these mugs. They're Fire King, the swirl pattern. If these were jadeite, it would be better, but since they're only white, it doesn't matter. They're marked Oven Fire King. Funny enough, last week and this week, I ran into Drew, Jocelyn's boyfriend. We were in the same booth together. I didn't say anything to him. I just didn't want to be a weirdo. Because I'm one of those people that doesn't like attracting attention to myself. And it's early in the morning, and I'm one of those people that when I'm sourcing, like I'm at a thrift store, or I'm at the flea market, or, you know, any place where finding what you want and what you like is impulsive, I'm not one to just sit around and talk. I want to find my stuff and move on, because you never know what you're going to miss. Because you could be minutes away from finding something so awesome that somebody else grabbed before you. So, yeah, it was kind of interesting to see him there. I'm surprised Jocelyn wasn't with him. I was there probably 7 o'clock in the morning. I get up at about 5:45 just to get there because it's about a 45-minute drive from me and where I live. But anyway, found these. I don't know exactly what I'll bring or what they will bring. If I can get at least $15 for the 2 of them, I will be really happy. Okay. So I thought this was really interesting, and I've never seen a photo like this before. I would date this to probably anywhere from the 20s to the 40s. I paid $2 for it. I just thought it was super interesting. It's tin, and it's printed on the tin itself, the photograph, which, I mean, it's definitely different. I mean, probably not something I would normally pick up, but I mean, it's definitely interesting, right? Very Art Deco-y, very 20s, 30s, 40s, any one of those eras, I think. Okay, this was my most expensive item from the flea market. This is a Hollywood Starlet's Mild Art Studios Series Number 5 cigarette viewer. He had $20 on it originally. He offered me $15. I've never seen anything like this before. And basically what it is it's a movie viewer. I don't know if it's going to show on here or not, but anyway, you look in here, and you turn this little wheel here, and it just shows you pictures of nude girls. So this is definitely a girly item. After I purchased it for the $15, I did look it up on eBay just to see, what comps for this were. And this exact one sold for $12 with somebody paying $9.30 to ship it, which is absolutely ridiculous because if I were to resell this, I mean, I would wrap it around in some paper and then I'd throw it in a box and it would probably cost $2 or $3 or $4 to ship. So someone got gypped in the shipping. But anyway, I was happy to pay the $15 and avoid the shipping costs. And, with what I found today, this is going to be paid off. So I'm not too worried about investing $15 into it. But it's very cool. I love pinup stuff, as you all know. It's like one of my favorite things to find. Now, this last group of items cost me $5, and when I say group of items, you'll see what I mean in a minute. So, I was walking by a vendor who has like a storage shed, and then they bring out their merchandise. And typically I avoid those vendors because most of the time they just have really outdated junk or just stuff that doesn't interest me. But for whatever reason, I decided to go ahead and stop when I saw this. Again, paid $5 for it. It's a case. It's got this vintage Santa in it. And I think it has a Japan mark on it, or just barely has a Japan mark on it. Either I'll send that to Miss Stonehome, or I don't know what I'm going to do with him yet. But the main reason that I bought this lot right here was for this tree here. And why do you ask that I bought this? Or wanted this tree as well? So any of you vintage Christmas lovers would probably know what this is. I've had 2 of these since I've started collecting vintage Christmas. This is a royal hard plastic Santa Claus with the original cord. The other one that I had was much smaller than this and in rougher shape. So when I found this one at an estate sale, I sold the other one. Both of them did not have this with it. So I've had this one for a few years now, and I wasn't even looking for this tree when I found it today. And I knew what it was, or at least I thought I knew what it was. So when you got this back in the 50s, there was a little tree that came with it. And, now I understand why this little tree that came with this decoration is worth so much money. A, because it's not something that you just stick in here and it stays snug, and it's going to stay put. This probably got lost very easily because it's loose. It's not tightly in there. And, I mean, it's very heavy-duty plastic, but it's not exactly sturdy either. Not exactly, sturdy plastic. It's fragile. I see these broken. When I'm at the antique stores, I see this little doodad right here, the piece that goes in, but not with the intact tree. So essentially, for 3 items that I paid $5 for, what is that? I don't even know. Can't do math right now. But it was one of those things that I wanted to find, but it wasn't, right in my mind. And when I found it, I was pleasantly surprised. So now I have a complete decoration. Some of these have the electrical component come up through here so you can put a bubble light in them. Mine is not that model. Now, because this is complete, if I were to resell it, I would probably expect, especially around the holidays, probably $75 to $85. That's what I would ask, or maybe even more, because the piece is in such great shape. I just thought that was super, super cool, and let me tell you something. If you find one of these broken, like the Santa itself broken, but the tree's with it, snatch the tree, because you can sell just the tree itself. I've seen them sell for upwards of about $40. And even replacements, like not the originals, like reproductions that somebody made to fit this, sell for $25. So to find an original, that is awesome. So I was really, really ecstatic to find that, and it was on my to be found list, but it just wasn't something that I was looking for, like right in the moment. It was just one of those things where it popped up and I was like, oh yeah, I needed that. So enough rambling about that. Let me go ahead and show you guys the two pieces that I picked up from the antique mall that are pretty exquisite. Alright, and to conclude this haul video, my two favorite scores of the day came from the antique mall that I visited, which is probably about a 20-minute drive from my house. And this mall, it's never busy. The last couple times that I've been there, it's in a smaller town in Pennsylvania. And a lot of the stuff sits for a long period of time. A, because it doesn't get a lot of business. B, because, antique store prices are, usually outrageous. And this mall, it's more of like a flea market in the sense that there's a lot of junk at antique store prices, and it's just stuff that's outdated, not trending, not in style. A lot of it's junk. But, walking around... Okay, so let me back up here. So when you first walk into this mall, there are a lot of mannequins that stare at you, and they're very creepy. So when you first walk in, it's mostly furniture, lamps, and things of that nature. And then they have a back room, which has a couple showcases and a couple more furniture booths and things like that. This building used to be an old church, and I could definitely tell by the way it was built and the structure and the style of the building. It was definitely an old church, and I guess it just moved or whatever. So I walked around the whole mall, and I didn't see anything that really caught my eye. And then I looked in a couple of the showcases, and I spotted these two items. Now, these two items were something, again, that I was looking for, but wasn't expecting to find. It was on my to be found list, but it just didn't cross my mind that I would ever run into them. I don't know where to start first, because both of these items were such a shocker to find, and at the prices that I paid for them. Maybe I'll go ahead and start off with this piece right here. Now, most of you who are in the reselling business, I'm sure you've heard of Pez dispensers, and you've heard of some being harder to find than others, and this is the perfect example of that. This is from the 1950s. It's a full-bodied Santa Claus Pez dispenser. Overall in very good condition. There's some paint loss and some yellowing from the plastic from time, but I mean, that's pretty common with dispensers of this age. These were made in Austria, I believe. Now, when I show you guys the price tag, don't be alarmed, because I did get a discount. So, this Santa Pez was marked $50. Now, while that does seem like a crazy number, and some of you are probably like, why on earth did you spend $50 on a piece of plastic? Well, when I first spotted it in the showcase when I was looking around, I texted my dad and told him that I had discovered one of these in the case. And he said, how much is it? I told him it was $50 and 25% off of that, so this came to $37.50, which, if you do some research on these dispensers themselves, that is a very, very good price. My dad is, more of an expert on Pez dispensers than I am, which I don't know if I even told you all this, but in the 80s and the 90s and early to mid 2000s, my dad was a Pez collector, so he collected for over 20 years. And then over time, he slowly sold off his collection and he just stopped collecting them, I guess because the market just was not where it used to be. Especially with, eBay becoming bigger and bigger. Anyway, so he told me he has never ever seen one of these outside of Pez conventions. I remember when I was much younger, I think we were visiting my grandparents in Wisconsin. We drove up there, I think, that time. And we stayed in Cleveland and we went to the Pez convention. That was there. So yeah, my dad said $37.50 was a very good price. And while that may seem a little steep, especially for someone like me who's very frugal and likes to find things at a good price, but not, just a good price. I was willing to take a shot with this because I have never seen one of these out in the wild. Now, if this would have been $150, I would not have even thought of buying it. But I went ahead and took the shot and bought it, and I love it because I've never seen it. And now I know that if I need to sell something or I need money real quick, whether I want to part with this or not is another story, but yeah, I was super, super happy to find him. And like I said, even my dad, who collected Pez for over 20 years, has never seen one of these outside of the Pez conventions. So I have a feeling this guy probably got this at an auction or he got it out of an estate. And honestly, it's a win-win-win situation because you know what? I got the discount. I paid the price that the discount was offering. And I bought plenty of other things that are going to pay this off and make a profit. So this is going to be paid off in no time, hopefully. And it's a rare piece. I mean, have you all ever seen one of these outside of any Pez conventions you've been to or at any estate sales or yard sales or anything like that? Let me know your story in the comments. Okay, so this last piece, again, was something I had on my list to find, but again, was not expecting to come across one, at least at the price that I found it at. So this is a tin litho trick-or-treat, candy pail, and it's in very good condition. This little plastic piece that you see right here is actually a whistle. And usually when I see them in antique stores, or at least at other antique shops I've been at, this piece is completely broken off and chipped and whatnot. But look at the paint on this. It's in very good condition. Here's what the back looks like. You've got the bats and the owl, and then there's a little pumpkin patch there. Here is the stamp for the company that made this. The United States Metal Toy Manufacturing Company, made here in the United States. Now, usually when I've seen these in antique stores, they have been more than $100, or people were asking that much. When I saw this in the showcase, I had to, rub my eyes when I saw the price at first, because I was like, does that say what I think it says, or am I dreaming? Yes, you were reading that correctly. $8 I paid for this. In the condition that this sits in, because Halloween is right around the corner, this would probably sell for upwards of $100. That is crazy. And this was one of those booths that, when you looked at all the stuff that was in there, and you saw the prices this guy had on his stuff, you knew he was pricing this stuff to sell. I would pay $8 for this all over again because it's so cool. And I've been eyeing them for a long time. Again, it was one of those pieces that I had been looking for but wasn't intending on finding. But again, they just don't make stuff like this anymore, and it's just so cool to be able to hold it in your hands and be able to feel it and, just think of the stories it could tell and how, where it's been all this time. I was pleasantly surprised to get this. So what do you all think? I'm very satisfied with the $123 that I spent today. So let's go ahead and conclude this video. So that's all I have for you today. Be sure and give this video a big thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to know when new videos are posted. All the links to my social media accounts via Instagram are down below as well, where you will see pictures of items to come in future haul videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye guys!